All right, John. Good to be here. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Which is very common, seeing you, which I like.
Indeed.
So if we reach back a while ago, we started Free Lunch in 2019, and then something happened in 2020 that kind of derailed us
Right.
and derailed a couple other things. Um, and it's just trying to figure out up from down and putting the pieces back together and deciding what the future is. We thought this would be a great tool to bring back, a great just commentary for us and people around us just to re-engage this. Again, for those who are watching, Free Lunch is an idea where we just either you and I talk, or we talk with clients or people in our circles about ideas that just may help people, right? The idea that there's no such thing as a free lunch. Well, we're here to change that. We actually want to provide value. All the cliche things you hear in marketing, that's what we're here to do. And we've been talking about something specific with our brands that I know you and I both said, let's just archive this conversation for some reason, some purpose. And because also we hear this conversation from many others. Okay, we all know we need to market ourselves more. One of the best ways to do that is photos, videos, the content bucket. I hate that word, but you and I can go into that some other point. But the photos, the videos, the motion, the stills, the copy that tell your brand story. We all know we need to do that. I've yet to hear anybody say, that's not for me. But where it gets hung up is we're all super busy. We're all doing the day-to-day operations. And then not only to set aside a time for this content, this production, but also what do you even produce, right? And a great exercise, a great simple thing that you and I have done many times, that everybody I think should do is just a simple brand audit, right? And whether you want to go at it from strengths and weaknesses or the full SWOT analysis or go interview people that have done with your brand, however it's comfy to do that. I think speed is important. Like, right, this isn't a 3-month process. Sure. This is a 45-minute process. And from there, identify, again, the strengths and the weaknesses of your brand. And your strengths, make content to that effect, right? Your weaknesses, a lot of times you can make content to address your weaknesses, right? At least give reason, context as to what's going on around them, right? Like for us, we've identified our biggest weakness is the pre-purchase, the top of funnel issue of not enough people know who we are. And go ahead and tell me that, sir. You just told me a story recently of an ad agency you worked with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that name recognition, just relationship, people knowing who we are and what we do as a point of clarity, as a point of just actual distribution of brand and getting in front of people is a critical, call it a weakness, call it an oversight, call it just the reality of what needs to be taken care of day to day in the marketing sense of things. I think as production people, it's easy to get buried in production and shooting and editing and doing all the things that we do and kind of inadvertently close the gate on exposure and getting people to know who we are and finding out who other people are, because we probably have people that we need to know too that would be useful to our ecosystem. So absolutely, I think that categorically is definitely in the deficit. This is something that we have to keep our eyes on. So yes, it is surprising in a market this size that there is still so much networking to be done.
For sure.
And so again, with families and with lots going on, it's one of those things we have to intentionally put our attention to and create content or create tools or just extend that effort to make sure that that is an ever growing reality for us, that more and more and more people know who we are and what we do. I think that's the other piece of that you and I have had conversations about recently is maybe people already know who you are, but are still confused about, which it just seems crazy to me, at least, and I'm sure to you, that people could not know exactly what we do. So I agree. The brand audit, kind of taking that step back, go up a level, back, zoom out, whatever it is, and say, okay, here are some things that I think are going well, some things that I hear feedback on, or I think are things that we can capitalize on. Yes, let's do more of these things that are strengths. and tell that story more, and maybe let other people tell that story. And then absolutely there are things that like these areas need some help. Like these are kind of ongoing or frequently asked questions that we could address. We could create content that addresses those questions and
Hence,
answer those things.
part of the reason we're sitting here
100%.
right now, right? So, and I think our story is not too uncommon among small businesses, right? You create a small business, you tend to do work inside of your relational circle, and then you start to do work for people that have connected you relationally. And you build out a body of work, but at a certain point, you have to grow beyond that.
Yeah.
But you've got enough of a business, enough of pieces taking care of this. It can be difficult to grow beyond it. And then another liability, which is what we've encountered inside creating these small businesses in the context of relationships. People know you. They think they know you for this one thing.
Right.
And so it's funny how people have met us in different contexts and they're like, oh, they do this thing. And it's like, that's a piece of the pie of what we do because we have a robust business. And whether it's a blessing or curse, we're kind of Swiss Army knives. If it's production, we can do a lot of the pieces. And we love that. Like we love providing creative, effective solutions for our clients, right? And we've attempted to even align our brands better. Just for clarity, we do have 3 brands. We have John S. Miller Photography, which is solely you. Sometimes I will come assist you on those endeavors. And then we have Insight Productions. That's my production company. You help me a lot with that. And again, why does that exist? It's because we had different relational circles when we started these things that these brands made sense.
Yeah.
And then currently we're coming together on this MVM, Miller Visual Media, where if you need to come into a studio, create your video, get your photos done. Here's a studio. You can even just rent the space for yourself. You can activate us in production, but it's a little bit less on the pre-production side. We may turn the footage or the photos over to you so you can do whatever where you're activating our other brands. And it could, you know, having 3 discrete brands might be messy in circumstances, but again, because this was all founded out of relationships, this is us trying to honor that and build these. But as a result, again, how do we get this known more? And so we do the brand audit ourselves. We know that personally we're not known enough. We know that the strength is the vast majority of people we work with really love the process, love our work. We get all the right feedback of people like, not only did I love the product, I loved the day. I loved the process, right? And so all the validators are there, our differentiators are there because I think we give a great product to people. We hear this, but you can activate us a little simpler than you can some massive agencies.
Absolutely. And I would add to, I think there is, and I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I think there is hopefully a sense, like emotion. We care. We care about your business. We care about this thing that we co-created with you, that it actually drives revenue, or that it, whatever your metric is, if it's more money or it's more understanding of who you are and what you do, like we genuinely care about that product and that result in a way that I'm not saying, I think a lot of people do, but that's very top of mind for us.
Absolutely.
That we want people to understand that we're here in it, not just to make our paycheck, not to do something creative. Though we love doing creative things and we love making a paycheck, we're here to actually get you whatever results you're looking for. And those results, when you get those results, we get our results.
That's the best validity we can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so much so that I 100% agree with you. We do actually care. We do want what's best. And it almost feels cliche to say. Like sometimes when I'm saying these things, I'm like, these people, they probably don't believe me in this moment because it's what everybody would say. Like you hop on
what you're supposed to say.
Right. You hop on the line with Comcast or whatever big enterprise and, oh, we care about your day. No, you don't. That's in your script, right? Because that's the right thing to say to elicit the right emotional response. No, we actually are here and we could, talk about ad nauseum as to how and why, what we view about the world to feed these ideas. So we know that the process is good. We know that more people need to know who we are. And then we also know that the clarity, our weakness is clarity of probably not enough people understand the breadth and width of our services, that you can activate us for a big campaign that can last for months or a year or multiple installments of campaigns We can do that. We love that work. Also, if you need a headshot, we can do a headshot. Right. Like we can scale it all the way down to that level where you can come to you can hop in here. If you need to just rent a space to shoot your own videos, we have that tool available for you. And so there's our strengths and weaknesses. Now, I think in order to understand how you start to frame the content, the brand, a bigger brand narrative of how you frame the content, the pieces of strengths and weaknesses, I think we need to talk a little bit about our brand essence and our brand identity, right? And so again, we've identified, hey, we need to clarify what we need to do, our services, right? And we also need more people to know who we are. But this all needs to feed the ultimate brand, our aesthetic, our story that we're telling people. And I know that quality is important to us, right? Like we want to do the right thing, right? We want to put the next right step, make the next right step for everybody, right? So quality's here. We tend to be a little bit of minimalists, as you can see by this environment. We're not people that believe you need 60,000 things to tell your story. Now, at the same time, we see content or videos or photos that has that we appreciate, but that's just not who and what we are. We don't swim in those waters personally, right? I think we're fun to be around, right? I remember a few clients, a few clients have called, oh, the Jays are here. They're excited to see us and be with us. Like, again, a lot of our clients become actually really good friends for us.
Sure.
Right? And then I think because a lot of times we're in the trenches with people not too dissimilar than us as far as the way the businesses are, like we get it. We get revenue. We get like the time crunch, the finances, all these pieces. Like we're here with you. We understand these pieces. So now if we're going to create content to promote our brand, it's got to open new doors for us, let more people know who we are, and also we need content to explain our services. Inside of this, hey, it's got to be fun. It's probably going to be a clean aesthetic. We want you and I to come out through this process that it's just not a nameless, faceless brand. It is our brands, right? I'm not sure if we've always done a great job at that. So when you hear me say these things, what is some pieces that might come to mind? Like, let's just do a strategy session with you and I. That
absolutely.
We might do with a client.
I think that might be even the better move for us here. Kind of breaking that wall down between us being presenters at the moment, but presenting on behalf of anybody who would happen to see this. I think we feel the need in our own businesses to continue to create content that brings clarity to the things that we are and the things that we do and how we do them and all that. And we also want to help other people do the same. And so I think we've both talked many times, like one of the best ways to help people do the same is to show them that we're doing it. And I think it's ironic because creatives are notorious for not having updated websites, not having updated headshots, not having any of that stuff done because you're too busy doing the other stuff. Yeah. So even, as recently as last week, when I get a call from producer friend, love him, and says, hey, can I get a headshot for a thing? I'm like, I start digging, like, when is the most recent headshot that I have of myself?
Right.
And it's been a minute. So I'm like, okay, Jay, I've got to schedule a headshot session for myself because I need this. We've talked, we need to update our headshots. And instead of it just being, we need to update our headshots someday.
Right.
Jay, I'm doing it. Do you want to come over and get yours done at the same time? Let's just get it done.
Right.
And so I think things like that, you don't think that the production company probably, but no, we do. We have the same exact business needs as the person listening to this possibly. So if you need your headshot done, call us up. We can get headshots done. In addition to that, it's currently Q4, which it may or may not be when you actually watch this video. But if you need holiday stuff done, now's the time to do holiday stuff. So I think there's so many things that in our minds, or when people see it, they don't realize the kinds of things that are just simple tasks that we have to do ourselves and that we can do for other people. So I think to that end, this is part of that content. Like we know that we need to get in front of people and start talking more clearly about the kinds of things we do. So we make headshots. We take headshots. We do videos. Campaign style videos, simple videos, just need to talk in front of camera. You need to film a podcast, we can film a podcast. Like we can do all of that stuff.
Right.
And here's our effort to just kind of getting that conversation going.
Right. And I think the advantage of Because people might be like, well, great, why would you guys do all that? I think it's because we do feel passionately about brand, right?
Yeah.
If you understand what the brand is and the brand pieces, that will influence our decisions of a headshot, of a podcast. And we don't have to, I'm not talking belabor these points, but it's just quick things that are just understood that we have clients that have known us for years, that they trust us with their brand. And they're just like, hey, I need X.
Right.
Cool. We'll go make that for you. We'll, get them up to speed. This is what we're thinking. This is what we're going to deliver. Cool. Let's go. Right. Because again, we understand the timing on the client's end, your end, our end is light, right? Like, how do we get headshots done? How do we make our own content? It's tight because we're doing stuff for other people. We're juggling just the day on operations of the business. It can be done, but you have to be intentional about it. And if there's people that you can trust with your brand, it makes that much easier, that much quicker.
Well, and the reality of this happening today, the way it's happening, is because we've been talking about it. And then we said, let's put it on our calendar.
Right.
We're going to block out these hours. We have the benefit of having the gear and the stuff so that when you bring it over, we set it up and we go.
Right.
The client needs to do the same thing. And we're just the guys with the gear and the stuff and get it set up. So the reality is everybody has to just make time for it and actually get it done. And that's where we come in. We come in and we'll bring the stuff so that you don't have to have all this stuff sitting around. So I think that pragmatism for us of like, this will never happen if we just keep talking about it.
No.
And it's the same for any client. It will never, your photos will never get shot if we don't actually make the contact and say, hey, can you do this? Get it on the calendar.
Right.
Yes, let's book it and let's go. And the same with any video that needs to happen, like even more so. Like we need to get this going because you need this stuff done. And the sooner we get it going, the sooner you actually get it doing some work for you out in the marketplace. So that's why we're here.
Absolutely. And then again, to beat the drum of we understand our brand clearly, right? Like when we talk about where are we going to shoot this? It's like, let's shoot it in the studio because this is a lot of what we do. It's minimalist, right? We didn't go through a bunch of art direction or anything. Like this is how we sit down and do meetings. Like this is how it goes. Like you're just, probably maybe a little bit showing how the sausage is stuffed, which we're not supposed to do. But we were able to get this done very quickly, right? Because we understand the brand. We understand all the pieces that will feed our story out of the world. And we will understand that for everybody else's.
And I think we understand that sometimes the content itself, the provocation, the inspiration, the whatever the nudge is more important than even the wrapper, the packaging, or the production. Right. We're production guys. We like things to look the way they're supposed to look. We like them to be lit the way they're supposed to be lit, shot on the right lenses, put through the workflow on the back end and graded. We want all of that stuff. But sometimes, and this was the conversation we've been having this month, is we just need to shoot it.
Right.
So set up some cameras, throw up a mic and some lights, and let's just go because what is most important is the content at the moment. And I think there's a lot of brands out there that can get stuck into, well, I don't have the right people. I don't have the right talent. I don't have whatever. We're not done with this. We're not. Well, I understand that because we feel that way too.
Right.
And sometimes you just need to get going and you just need to do something. And this is our version of that.
Well, and I think that this moves us into a great thought of what type of content for what type of audience, right?
Sure.
And we talk a lot about, we have different language with it that we've broken through the years. There's a purchase cycle, right? Pre-purchase, purchase, post-purchase. We internally call that P1, P2, P3. If there's a pre-purchase person on the table that has never heard of you before, never seen of you before, you want to put a good foot forward.
Yeah.
Right? You really do. If it's somebody that is already purchased from you, a cell phone video, a little Zoom call recorded might be great. Right? It actually may feed the humanization of your brand.
Right.
Now, we've thrown out brand a lot, and I think it's a word that can scare certain people away, that can feel lofty. Go ahead and break that brand. Like, what would your operating definition of brand be?
Well, and I agree with you. It can feel a little unapproachable or misunderstood, and I think partly because it's co-opted into a lot of things. We used to just call a thing a logo and a slogan, and now like your brand and, brand identity and like all of these pieces for some vendors or some pieces of your production phase, working on your brand identity might just be making a logo, but the whole thing is kind of encompassed in this larger term. So I think for us, and you probably have better language, but I feel like the brand it's the wrapper that tells the story of what's inside. I mean, this is about your intention, your heart, your ethos, how you're going to bring whatever thing to bear in the world of the marketplace. And that can be logos and slogans. It can also be colors. It can be aesthetics, like how much stuff or how little stuff is in the space of the visuals. There's a lot of pieces that can go into being what a brand is, but ultimately it's how you present yourself to the world. And so you can, with content, reinforce that brand. You can probably also inadvertently unreinforce it. I don't know how you say it. You can hurt that brand too if you're not cautious with some things. If your brand if you've got a price point on a product that's $500, let's say, and you're doing the cell phone video, possibly, in my head, I think you could possibly be damaging that brand because you're not keeping up with your own ethic of what your quality piece is. So absolutely. I think it's something to take a look at. And I know we have to take a look at that too as production guys and ride this line very carefully. Like, this is a very simple scaled down version of this content, right? Even though we like to do high end production. Right. But again, we're focusing what we're now saying is the brand is we care about you. So we're going to get this content to you. We're going to still keep it simple. We're not, sitting in some lavish space. So we're kind of keeping our brand alive while giving you this content, which is most important to us. So I know that was a little bit everywhere, but
no, I like it. And I mean, so much so that we are doing this, and also we have a couple scripts booted up that are the higher end stuff. Right. It's going to take us a second to get there, right? Absolutely. Especially with where we are in the year. Like, that's not going to be fielded before the end of the year with the other workflows that we have in place. Yeah, I think brand, it's how you feel about something. Might be the simplest way. If I were to say Coach, if I were to say Broncos, if I were to say NASA, I mean, even it's amazing to me when an amazing brand study is actually NASA itself, right? Here's an organization that was to send somebody to the moon, but if you look at the brand guidelines, I have the book, you got me the book, the brand guidelines of NASA, when it was created, how much intent they went into, because that was a thing that inspired the future, right? And I think some people I've heard say, I don't have a brand. It's like, no, you have a brand. Right. It's just, is it intentional or unintentional, right? And the cell phone video thing, I mean, now we probably even have to unpack that a bit, because we're probably not even talking about the technology of the cell phone video. Right, Apple's making, then they're great, right? It's more, one thing you'll notice is Apple on those sets that they're using the iPhone, there's still a crew of 16 people. There's still lights and sound. There's still all this, you can go make, the cameras are great on these
100%.
So we're talking more about if you want your assistant to make a video for you, or your wife or spouse or whomever to make a video for you, be cautious about that. Because again, to your point, what is brand? Right, brand, every product or service you sell has a natural margin associated with it, right? And different industries tend to bring different margins to bear. What can help your brand or your business have a better margin, right? It is brand, right? Look at Apple, great example. Apple, I think a lot of people feel like Apple's a technology company. I would argue Apple is a luxury brand. Right? If you were going to put any piece of their technology against something else, there's probably something else that's better than it.
Well, they want to be a lifestyle brand, probably. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm probably conflating those terms. Yeah. It's both of those pieces, right? You are, when you hold up an iPhone, you're signaling something to yourself, to everybody around you, and Apple can charge a premium because they put themselves in that place. Now, I also know, this is an example because I don't think most of the people that we're talking to are trying to be an Apple, right? Or be a Ferrari or be a whatever. But I think this is what ensures deals get done and also can ensure margins, is how do people feel about something? You go to the dollar store, you're wanting to pay $1 for a cheap product because that's their brand, right? And hopefully their margins work inside that. You go buy your spouse a Christmas gift, something they've been wanting all year, chances are that's not from the dollar store, right? So it's because but they might be made in the same factory overseas. Is the funny thing about this, right? So brands are what change the perceived feeling about how likely somebody is to do business with you, and the margins. And in businesses, that's what we're talking about. Like, we got to have a certain amount of volume and a certain amount of margin to make this thing work. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Right. And brand is entree for people wanting to work with you and for appropriate margins. Right now, of course, you have to have all the other business fundamentals. You have to deliver, you have to have a product that the marketplace is deemed appropriate. But brand is a differentiator inside of that, your niche, wherever you're going. If you're making widgets or you're making services, whatever.
Absolutely. I think the brand is the not so great word is the club that you want people to belong. You want them to belong to your club. You want them to belong to your community. You know, you want them to be inside of this sphere with you together. Like, we're in this together. And I think the brand is the piece that goes past the discount sales that come your way, or goes past this choice versus this choice versus this choice. I want to be in this, on the company of this. And I think that's the thing that it's difficult to articulate exactly how that works until you actually start trying some things and start seeing what works and what gets you that kind of ownership, or that return, that conversion. And so I think brand is the key. And I know we've heard, you know, the Gary V's, and like, that's the only thing that's going to be left to know at the end is how you made them feel. It's going to be, the brand is what people are going to order when you're talking voice activation on devices, or it's not going to be cheap jewelry. It's going to be, I want this brand, or I want cute purse. Whoever won the brand game with me, that got me to want to be in their club for that purse, is the one that's going to get me to buy, because that's going to be what I remember. And they're going to do that by having told me that story. And again, that could have been technology. It can be any piece of the market.
And the only antidote against not having a brand is a race to the bottom, right? You have to have the product that they want at the absolute cheapest price point.
Yeah.
And there are companies that have made successful revenue doing that, and they're not going to call us at the end of the day, right? And I don't think
and that's not the right client.
No, and I don't think anybody we know is actually trying to create that kind of business of just sheer volume making a tenth of a cent per sale. Like, the people that we tend to be, companies that we work with, are people that have to have healthy margins associated with things.
Yeah, and have a story to tell or live in that brand. I think most of the people that we end up working with are people for whom that business is very important to them. And I don't think, I'm not trying to say that the widget company, that it's not important to them, because clearly it is, but I think there is a different stake in the story, the brand of that product with the people we tend to work with, and that we like, you know, certainly, you know, have liked working with.
And I think it's, you know, obviously we're content creators, so that's what we're talking about here. But your brand goes to, if you have a storefront, the color scheme, the layout of the storefront, right? The brand even goes, how do you take care of your clients on the back end of a sale? You know, if you have a product, what is your warranty like on it? If you have a service, what guarantees do you bring to bear with these services? That is also part of your brand. We are focusing in on this very narrow piece of it, because that's what we bring to the table of it. So I don't want to say, you know, anybody to take away from this, well, your brand is your logo or your video or your photo. No, it all feeds that ecosystem. And even how you walk into a meeting feeds your brand's story, right? So you brought up headshots earlier, which I like, because we knew that, hey, that's kind of just table stakes. Like,
and it literally just happened that we needed to do them for ourselves.
I know we've been talking about other pieces. This came to the table. We've also talked about maybe just a little bit more formalized of a talking head video in the studio, just walking people through the studio to clarify this. Behind the scenes stuff, so people feel a part of the story, is great for us. I mean, part of the reasons we're doing this is like, we can capture this moment. There may be something we capture from this moment that we can use that then feeds a completely different video, a completely different story, right? And I also think it's important for people to see, like, this is an ideation session at the end of the day, and what are the other videos, what are the other photos, what's the other pieces we want to bring to bear that we can start today, put those plans in place that now we can see to fruition, just like we're asking our clients to do, right? So we know that more people need to know who we are, right? And we also need clarity about the services that we can provide,
Sure.
and the
What we
reason
do,
why you
yeah.
would call us. What's the differentiators about us over these services? So now you speak photography language. Is probably, let's say that's your native language, and then videos on top of that, right? So if we were to do you have any ideas? Just spitball some ideas out, like a photography campaign that, let's say for any one of the three brands you want to talk to, or just our personal brands, you and I, what is something we can do with a photography campaign that can show our brand, that, hey, make more people aware of who we are and our aesthetic, the type of people we are. So when they meet us or they try to do business with us, it all feeds that continuous story. Nothing feels amiss to them. And possibly even provides a smidge of clarity to what we do.
Absolutely. I think that is the opening to a very large space. But a couple of things that we've discussed. There is getting a lot more content, showing people what you're actually doing. There's the document style. We could take more behind the scenes. We can actually, instead of telling you what we do and trying to sit here and bring clarity, we do this. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, you didn't know we do that? Yeah, absolutely, we do that.
Right.
That's one way, and the other way is just to keep showing you. So that's part of what this is. This is a whole bunch of footage to put in a library worth of stuff that we can now pull behind the scenes and show you what a production with a crew of 10 people looks like, what it looks like to shoot headshots with just me, or what it looks like to sit and have Jay moderate your podcast. We're going to show you more and more of that work as time goes by. As we've decided we need to do that in order for more people to know us, in order for you to understand what we do better. And then, as you already alluded to, there is a whole category of produced pieces, created, scripted. You've been writing a script a day for a while now. Pieces that we are actually going to concept, produce, get people out here, light it up, shoot it, edit it, and the whole thing. We're intending to put together a whole narrative. So going back to your actual question specific to photography, we've been talking about how do we just show more of the kinds of things that I shoot. I have every single time I talk to somebody, so you're a photographer. Well, what do you shoot? And then I'm not even talking about the confused people. This is everybody. Everybody asks, well, you're a video guy. What do you shoot?
Right.
So when I say I shoot commercial photography, mostly, you know, what is that? Yeah, that's not a word that a person off the street understands. Well, I shoot people, places, and things that people are trying to sell to make money. So I take the photos so they can sell it and have their business. So there's one thing for me to tell you that and use those words, which maybe I got one extra level of understanding by saying that. You have a service, you have a product, you have a widget, whatever it is, I shoot it, use that photo to put on your site, and you make money. Then I could show you me doing that, or I can show examples of having done that. And I think we need to make those pieces. And you already made a great one for the actual studio. And then what we're talking through is how do we kind of keep getting these layers and layers and layers. So we've been talking about this idea of I'm going to make prints of photos and I'm going to lay them down with my hand. I'm going to set them down on a table, and you're going to see this video eventually someday. We're going to get to that. I'm going to set them down on the table, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the person that is in this photo to send me a text review, and they're going to be the VO for this photo, for this set of photos. I'm going to put down, I don't know, a dozen photos of some person or some person's product that I shot, and they're going to be talking about the experience. We really wanted to capture this. This is really what I wanted to make sure, and hopefully I can say, John did a really great job of that. And, so specific to still photography, we've got these layers of creative pieces that we want to put out into the world, and we'll put out into the world to help you understand what we do so that we can then get on the same side as you and help you get you where you're going.
So we've been talking about that piece for a while. I can't wait to see that piece.
And it's going to be super simple.
It's not hard.
I talk it in my head. I'm like, oh, but it's really super simple. But I think that's a great example of us taking this whole inventory, what were strengths and weaknesses, and working all the way down to, well, what then content can we create to move our needle?
Absolutely.
And so I think if we can do that, we have to be doing that for ourselves.
And even the simple low hanging fruit, if you're in a relationship with somebody that can make that happen for you, is very easy. Right.
Sure.
And we're here to tell ourselves we're those people that have
Right.
that relationship
100%.
with. Like that is us. We can spin the dial many different ways to deliver you amazing high campaign style stuff. And also at the end of the day, we can create a video of you lean photos down with the reinforces the brand.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just going to keep hammering this home. The brand audit allows uniqueness like that to come out because what are your strengths and weaknesses? Make sure you understand your brand and make sure you continue to build your brand and let it evolve over time. Because I think if you don't, if you come to the point of I got to create content and you don't fully, you haven't set the, you haven't mapped out where you really are. I see this time and time again of people just copy their competitors. They see something that moved them, that their competitor did, or unrelated adjacent industry, and they copy and paste that, which actually is not a great move at all. Because I love the story of your hand, your photos, your VO. But what if, and these are ideas that we've had that we come to the table with that are not, we discover quickly they're not good ideas. What if we go set up a very lofty shoot in Miami, right? With some purse that looks like a $10,000 purse with the right pieces. And then we show that process for Jonas Miller Photography. That'd be a cool ad, right? That'd be really fun to produce, right? There would be nothing better than that. It would cost us a lot.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, how much of that work do you really do? Right. Now, could it move the needle? For sure, but could it create some confusion? Now, I'm not trying to say that piece would be a bad piece, but I'm saying you could spend a lot of time and energy that actually wouldn't clean up your brand, but something as simple as your hand or over your shoulder with your client's voices or text describing the experience and what that photo means to them. And if it's also just, hey, he sold a widget for me, it just may be a professional experience. It may not have to be emotive, right? Absolutely. It can just be as fast, it was right price, right time.
That just becomes a tool. So we can, I can then use and put whatever category you want, whatever person, whatever client in that particular container. It's just a good example of the kind of content that we think will help move our business.
Absolutely.
And move the still side in particular.
For sure. And then if it's headshots, like we can show a headshot happening here and the result of it, right? Like it all feeds who and what we are. So when people engage the brand, they know what they're getting. They like us. We like them. Let's move forward. But again, and I'm just going to beat this drum till I die of do your brand audit, right? Identify your strengths and weaknesses. Run that by some people close to your circle that would have an honest optic. From there, let's create some content together. Obviously, we want to be your vendors for that. We'd love nothing more than that. However, even if it's not us, go start this process. We know we all have a need that we've got to get our businesses out there and growing more. We know that the marketplace for the next 18 months is probably going to just be a little leaner than in other seasons we've experienced, right? We know we're going to have to be scrappier, more persistent, but I think we can build something that can endure for a long time. You and I can, our clients can, and let's come together and do those things. So my closing thoughts would be, let's do the brand audit. If you want to call us and have us in on that conversation, that's great. If you don't, that's great too. Because again, I think the speed, getting to the table is quickly, and let's literally make a plan of what is the appropriate tool to bear. And sometimes it's as simple as headshots. And sometimes it is the big campaign video where we're going to write a script and bring 8 actors in and we're going to find the locations and we're going to do that. And everything or photos being laid down on a table, right? Like we're here to say we love finding the best solution, not necessarily the biggest solution or the smallest solution. What is the best solution for where you're at, where your budget's at, what your brand story is at, where that place is. If a Nike walked in the door or somebody that's starting up a business with their brother, we're going to give very different plans to those people because we understand that.
Yep.
That'd be my closing thoughts. I'd love to hear yours.
It's funny, after all this clarity talk, I think my closing thought is at this table between Jay and I, we are 3 different brands. Insight Productions video led, end-to-end production, anything you need, from the simple stuff you need to shoot a podcast, you need to shoot something talking head, all the way up to full on crews and talent and campaigns and creative and scripts. Stills photography, which is pictures. I shoot pictures. I shoot all kinds of pictures for all kinds of things. Whether that's, frankly, it's your family, it's your wedding, I can do that. It could be your product. It could be for Fortune 100 companies around the world who need actual like commercial photography for their websites. Still photography, I shoot lots and lots and lots of photos. And then Miller Visual Media, MVM, we call it. It is the studio that we both work out of most of the time when we need a space. We've got a huge white room where we shoot videos, we shoot photos, we do everything we can out of this space. And it's right here in Littleton, Colorado. It is available for rent. It is also available for your production, whatever you could possibly need in this space. We shoot that. We have a space for it. So that's my closing, is like, we do those three things. And if we need to bring more clarity, we'll do that later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I hope that, and I trust that our endeavor of providing people with a free lunch, so to speak, has worked once again.
Let's hope.
And please reach out to us
Yeah.
if you've heard this, of any questions, engagement, even if you just want to meet us. If you're our friends, hey, let us know. Of course, if you're friends, do the reshare game, push it out there to the world, because I think people need to know who we are.
Yeah,
So,
likewise.
awesome.
And we'll do the same.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you as always, John. Thanks
Likewise,
for
sir.
partnering with me in all these years and all these projects and doing fun stuff like
Yeah,
this.
man. My pleasure. Always my pleasure.
Awesome. Take care.